Hello and welcome to this first model. I want to start by congratulating you for starting this mentorship, this mentoring process that will help you to become more fluent. Starting or refreshing your language learning journey is an exciting step. So I won't lie, language learning can be a long and occasionally uncomfortable process, but with encouragement and consistency, it can also be deeply rewarding. We are going to work together for 8 weeks, a weekly group meeting, and if you are doing a premium version, a weekly individual meeting to work specifically on the content that you need. During the first week, all the weeks, I suggest that you watch these videos before the group meeting because we are going to discuss them. Each video has information that we will put into practice together in the group. Today, we are setting the stage for success by preparing your environment and starting the year with a clean slate. Let's go. Basic rules. Module 1, Introduction to Mentoring, Design the Work Plan, Myth of English, and How to Think in English. This is what we are going to cover. Let's start with, these are the tasks that today you have to do. First, schedule your language time. Block off 15 to 20 minutes per day in your calendar. Ideally, it's a good idea that if you cannot do it every day, you do it the days that we don't meet. Choose the times that fits your lifestyle. If you don't have to, stick, like every day or every meeting at the same time, you can adjust it every week when you need it. A pro tip is that you can stick or pair your language time with something that you already do, like enjoying your morning coffee or winding down after dinner. The idea is to stick your English time with a nice habit that you really enjoy. The second we're going to do today is taking notes or journaling. It is a very important decision to have a journal. To take notes of every video, every class. Decide whether you will track your learning digitally or with a notebook. Piece of paper, no? Both have their benefits and drawbacks. Digital notes have pros like they are easy to edit, organize, and search. The cons, they can be distracting, less effective for memory retention. On the other hand, handwriting notes have pros like better for memory retention, encourages creativity. And the cons, harder to edit because you have to delete the traditional way, or it's difficult to organize for large projects and requires physical storage, like to have a piece of paper or a notebook. But it's your decision. I think that journaling is absolutely necessary to take notes of every video and every class. Number 3, immerse yourself in English. How we're going to do this? This is part of setting the environment. So I will ask you to change the language of your phone to English, the computer, social media and settings to English, and surround yourself with content in TV, radio, podcast, even your shopping list. Research shows that learners who engage in immersive activities can accelerate fluency over time. So we want to make practicing your target language the easiest choice of your day. We're going to start by setting our SMART goals. So make your goal SMART. SMART, we mean that it has to be specific. Focus on something concrete. For example, participate 3 times in a meeting or order a coffee in French, or in English in this case. Yes, the objective has to be specific, has to be measurable. Use numbers or percentages, subjective metrics like I'll spend I'll speak 80% with 80% confidence. So this can help you track your progress. Achievable. Set realistic goals. For example, learn Russian in 30 days isn't going to happen, but hold a basic conversation for 5 minutes in 3 months, it might be achievable, right? Relevant. Your objective has to be relevant. Connect your goals to your motivation. Why are you learning? Why are you improving? Why do you want to be fluent? To watch a complete movie in English, to prepare for an overseas or a foreign trip. Your why will keep you going when motivation disappears. Make your goal timely. Deadlines create momentum. Short-term goals are specifically motivating. I have 3 conversations at a party in March. So this is necessary because we will be together for 8 weeks. So look for an look for an objective or 2 or 3, but they have to be, again, specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant. And of course, as we said, timely. Now, let's create our plan of work, or work plan. Let's create our action plan based on our objectives. Now you have the objectives, you set the environment. Let's see what are going to be, how it's going to be our action plan. So we will have to make a list. This is why it's important to have a journal, to have a paper to write on, or a digital document in which you write down your objectives. And now write down all the activities that you can do to practice English. For example, watching Netflix with subtitles, reading news out loud, for example, news in breaking news, English.com. You can read them out loud to practice reading out loud, to understand the general idea. Look for news, pieces of news that are relevant for you, for your objectives. I mean, don't read about Russia if you are learning about England. Don't read about, I don't know, food or gourmet food if you are not interested in that topic. Reviewing flashcards daily with an app called Memrise. We're going to talk about this app later on, but Memrise, it's an app that I recommend. You can do this activity. Singing karaoke with songs, practicing in lyricstraining.com. This is another website or app that you can use. Practicing speaking. Don't forget to open up your mouth and speak. Speak to friends, send audios, talk to your children if you can practice with them, or record yourself out loud, reading out loud or commenting on a topic. Then listen to it and do it again in a circle, again and again until you feel comfortable with the results. Use ChatGPT to check phrases. Don't use a translator. Use ChatGPT. You can have a conversation with ChatGPT and ask it to tell you, for example, what is the most common phrase to say, me voy a la cama? What is the most common phrase to say, I don't know, el café está frío, no? Or me gustaría un café, un iced coffee. What are the different ways to say that? So once you become friends with ChatGPT, you will find it amazing in order to learn new expressions and also check different ways to say things. Let me see. Podcasts. You can also include in your list of activities podcasts in Spotify. Podcasts that I created, and they are for different levels, for different styles, for different topics, or you can just look for a podcast that you really enjoy. Let's, before we leave here, I would like to say that tagging elements at home, it's another idea that you can do. And I would like to say that this list of activities, you can organize them by day. For example, Monday, 2 of these activities. Tuesday, 2 of these activities. Wednesday, 5 minutes to listen to music and read the lyrics. and 5 minutes more to read a piece of news out loud, and 10 minutes more to listen to a podcast or to watch a video in YouTube or to send an audio to a friend. When we send audios, when we record ourselves, it is important to prepare what we are going to say, not just improvise. Take a piece of paper, your journal, and write the general idea of what you want to say. You can translate, you can check in ChatGPT, and you can use your knowledge. Remember, you can use a combination of methods and write the message. It is not necessary to write the complete message. Maybe sometimes you can write just keywords and then practice recording the message several times. Don't improvise because it is frustrating. Probably you will have errors, you will feel stuck, and it is okay to translate in your head. We are going to talk about that. Is it okay to translate in your head, or it is better to think in English? Of course, it is better to think in English, but we are going to go to this topic before we check the myth. These are typical English myths, and they are realities. It is very common to listen to people saying that learning English, it's something that kids do better. Only children can learn a language as well. And this is absolutely not true. Adults learn new languages. Adults continue learning all their lives and have some advantages, like knowledge of the world, like rational thinking, and experience learning other things. So we also can learn new languages, not only exclusively or better the children. Then there's another myth. You must study British English because it's the most correct, or the most correct pronunciation is the British one. The reality is that English is an international language with many variations. Approximately 2 billion people speak English worldwide as a second language. So both native and non-native, there's no single correct form of English. What is important is effective communication, clear pronunciation. Another myth. You need to live in an English-speaking country to become fluent. This is not a reality. The reality is that living abroad, living in an English-speaking country can help you, but also can become a nightmare if you are anxious and if you don't have the right tools. It is not necessary. You can achieve fluency with consistent practice, access to resources, interaction with English speakers, even online, and also studying and practicing with all the digital media we have today. Another myth is that making mistakes means that you are bad at English. And the reality is that mistakes are a natural part of learning any language, and they can help you to improve, and they are a sign that you are trying and progressing. Committing mistakes, it's very common, and we have to embrace that reality. Little by little, we continue with the process of improvement, and we will delete certain mistakes. The first thing is to have a positive attitude and don't punish yourself much more than what you have done already. Let's go to this. I mentioned thinking in English is key. And okay, but how? How do I stop translating in my head and start thinking in English? Thinking in English, it's like the Matrix. You will never think in English 100%. This will never happen. If you watch the movie Matrix, you know that sometimes the protagonist connects to the Matrix. It's like thinking in English. And sometimes, because of many reasons, like stress, like conflicts, like being tired, you unconsciously disconnect from the Matrix. So at some point, you're speaking in English and you're fine, but at some point you start translating again, and that makes you feel a bit anxious. This is completely normal. It's a process of going and coming and coming and going. thinking in English and then thinking in Spanish. And that is okay. Accept that as part of the process. The more you think in English, the better, of course, but sometimes we cannot control other factors that affect our stress, for example, that may us find it complicated to think in English all the time. But here I suggest and I recommend some steps to start the process of thinking in English. And we will know that with time and with all different variety of activities we are doing during the mentoring, you will find yourself more frequently thinking in English than translating in your head. The first, this is a tip. Think of simple words. You are just traveling by bus, you are just lying in the sofa. Think of different elements. Look around you. What can you see? Think of simple sentences. Now, I can see a sofa, a refrigerator. I can see that my cat is on my table. So I can make sentences. So the sofa is brown. Simple sentences using new words. My refrigerator is very small. So while I'm doing this, I'm trying to practice vocabulary which is not active in this moment in my mind, because there's vocabulary that is passive. I know it, I use it. There's vocabulary that is, the other way around. There's vocabulary that is active. I know it and I use it. There's vocabulary that is passive. I know it, but I don't use it. So this is a very good exercise to think of different ways to use this vocabulary. Usually, I say sofa, but you know that sofa can also be said couch. The couch, sorry, pronunciation mistake, couch. So as I don't use couch a lot, so maybe it's a good idea that I practice saying couch. Look around the elements that are in your house and think about the elements that you need to know. For example, if I travel frequently, I think it's a good idea for me to know how to say a straw, bombilla, because I love mate. And when I travel, probably I will need to get one or I will have to buy one, right? So it's relevant to learn how to say bombilla. Yes, it is relevant. So I will look for the word. Think of simple conversations, including all of this vocabulary. And here we come back to the journaling or taking notes. When you label the vocabulary that you need in your home, you will realize the vocabulary that is relevant. You will make simple sentences, and then you can make simple conversations, questions and replies. For example, okay, I am abroad and I lose my straw, so I need to get one. How much is a straw? Think of different questions and replies and visualize the situations that are relevant for you. What if you don't know a word? Well, again, if it is relevant, look it up in the dictionary. I mean, check the vocabulary that is relevant for you. Some years ago, I had a student that was allergic to nuts. And so it was absolutely crucial for her to know if some food, if some dessert, if some, piece of cake had nuts. So, because otherwise she would die. So she had to learn that because it was relevant. Okay, so she learned different ways to use, to ask is there any nuts in this cake? Does it contain nuts? Does it have any nuts? I'm allergic to nuts. Yes? So checking and practicing this was absolutely relevant for her. Now, last but not least, the key is the habit, perseverance. Every day a little is better than a lot. Just once a week. So I prefer that every day you dedicate 20 minutes, 15 minutes doing different activities, always focus on your objectives rather than you sit on a Sunday for 3 hours. Don't do that because learning is a process and our brain is not capable of learning many things for much time. More than 45 minutes and our brain is fried. So this is the idea. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.